Hey, man.
What's up?
I feel like we've been here before.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Mukesh Ambani?
No.
Okay, let me try this.
Oh yeah. They started that cult out in Oregon.
That's the one on Netflix?
Yeah.
Dang it.
The
I don't remember what it's called.
Wild Wild Country?
Wild Wild West.
Wild. No, that's a Will Smith movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the cult called out in what is it called?
Wild West.
No, that's not the. Okay, what was the cult called though? Cult called? What was that cult called?
Sheila? Or
That was the woman's
girl?
name. I thought they all took weird different names though. Anyway, maybe I think of a different one. Who's what is it? Mukesh and Bonnie?
Yeah, well, let's try this. Have you ever heard of Steve Ballmer?
You know.
What about Sergey Brin?
Sergey?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's that?
Yeah, he's the green guy in Mario.
Luigi.
Oh, okay.
Larry Page?
Larry Page, that was that really old guy who did that talk show at night.
Okay. Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett is, first of all, it's pronounced Warren Buffet, and he invented the very popular restaurant type.
Okay.
And his brother invented Benihana, who is Steve Aoki's dad.
Let's try this.
So Warren Buffett is Steve Aoki's uncle.
Let's try this.
Okay.
Bernard Arnault.
Bernard Arnault. Bernard Arnault sounds like... Yeah. Have you ever watched what's that HBO series about Westworld?
I haven't watched that.
You haven't watched Westworld? The first season was pretty good. After that, it's not worth it. But the first season was really good. But Bernard is a character in that.
Oh. What about Elon Musk?
Sounds familiar.
I think we did an episode on him. I can't remember.
You literally don't remember anything.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay, can we just get to the point? What are you doing? Are you just naming people?
This is the top 10 billionaires in the world.
Oh, really? Mukesh
Ambani.
Mukesh Ambani?
Number 10.
Okay, hold on. Say the name slower.
Mukesh Ambani.
So it's not Mukesh and Bonnie. It's Mukesh and Bonnie.
Mukesh
Ambani.
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 Bonnie.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I was hearing Mukesh and Bonnie.
It's like he's saying I am Bonnie, but quickly.
Mukesh and Bonnie.
Yep.
He's number 10. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Notice that it's a lot of men.
It's all men. I think the first...
Here at TILLN, we're trying to destroy the patriarchy. And to destroy the patriarchy, we're doing a Patreon. That was pretty smooth. Anyway. Things I learned last night. Hey, thanks for being here for this week's episode of Things I Learned Last Night. We'll get back to it in just a second. I want to let you know that next week's episode is about Travis.
Yeah, there's a lot of famous Travises out there. This one's not about that one. It's about a monkey. Wait till you hear about him.
Yeah, his whole life, the people who adopted him, and with all that. All that's next week on Things I Learned Last Night. Or if you don't want to wait till then to watch it, you can watch it right now on Patreon. It's available. Patreon's a way to support this podcast financially and help us make it better and keep bringing you episodes every week. So right now on Patreon, go watch that episode. But for now, let's get back to this one.
So the first woman on this list is number 15, and it's because she's Sam Walton's daughter.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I just did a show in Bentonville a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was on Walton Street.
Nice.
And Walton Boulevard, whatever it is. And I'm driving past, and I see a building that says Walmart Home Office. And my dumb brain went, I didn't know they had like an office store. Like I thought that they were trying to push out Staples, you know? And then my brain went, this is Walton Boulevard. That's clearly the headquarters. But I literally looked at it and I was like, that's a pretty big home office store.
That's very, very...
Yeah, I was very dumb.
Interesting.
You know the Walmarts in Arkansas are like insane.
What do you mean?
Like
Like
robots.
Bass Pro Shops in Springfield?
Yeah, like no, I mean like bigger though is like everything they try at
They have,
Walmart. They
like-
obviously try in Arkansas first because that's where their headquarters is. So they have like robots that clean the
Oh,
aisles.
yeah. Hey, they have that here. Have you not seen that?
Yeah.
They
Well,
cut
I have
that.
it at my apartment. I've got one of those little robot vacuums. Yeah, they just put iRobot. They put little shark vacuums out in Walmart.
One of my neighbors has one of those Roomba lawnmowers. Have you seen those?
No.
Roomba. I don't think it's Roomba, but they make Roomba lawnmowers.
No, it's Yardba.
But yeah, it's a terrifying concept because it's the same thing as a
One
Roomba,
of my neighbors
but
has a
bigger.
Zamboni.
With-
It's pretty wild. In wintertime, they come out in the parking lot and they're just like, here we are.
Here we are.
That, you know.
But yeah, so yeah, that's terrifying. Anyways, hey, so this is an episode about something you actually requested me to do an episode on probably a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Which is billionaires and how billionaires are billionaires.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Did I ask you this?
Yeah, you straight up asked me.
Great.
You said, "Hey, it'd be cool if you did an episode on this because I'm curious about it." And I was like, "Okay."
How
I'm
billionaires
probably
become
not gonna do
billionaires?
that. And here we are doing that. Yeah, because so this is actually pretty interesting.
If you made it this far in the episode, congrats. Because if you think, I'm just thinking about you listening to us list names, and then every name be like, and me being very dumb.
Yeah, and just like giving a wrong guess on what that is.
Yeah. And if you're still here, thanks.
Then you're committed. Hold on a second. I just noticed this on Wikipedia. They're defining a billionaire. And they're saying a billionaire.
Billionaire is a person who has 1,000 millions.
This is a billionaire is a person with a net worth of at least 1 billion. And in parentheses it says, i.e., 1,000 million.
Does it really? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And then I think Jeff Bezos is going to become a trillionaire before he's dead.
Oh, I don't think he will. Amazon's going to go out of business in the next 20 years. I'm calling it. Put my pin on that. I'm 100% like, I'm convinced.
Why?
Because the company culture is weak and they're overstretching themselves. They are getting in every possible industry, which
Yeah, but they're cornering the market now so that nothing can compete with them.
Yeah, it can't last. It can't last. Every company that you see that tries to do too much fails. The companies that have a laser focus and are
think
like, this is
Walmart's
what we
gonna go
do,
under?
and we stay on this. I mean, eventually, I think Walmart will outlast Amazon. Amazon's trying to get into too many things at once, and they can't possibly sustain all that well. They're all
You heard it here first from billionaire Tim Stone,
here's
who has 1,000 millions.
here's my leading reason for this though. One, there's that
I've never heard this theory. I'm very interested.
Okay, there's the main thing of companies succeed when they focus on one thing and try to do one thing well. Obviously,
Yeah.
every company diversifies and tries to have more than one revenue stream, but when
Take
they
it to a
stretch
local.
it too
Take it to
far,
a smaller scale. Like take it to like Taco Bell.
so,
You know
I
how
mean,
Taco Bell
that's
did
actually a
like
really good
Fiesta
example.
potatoes?
That's a really good example. They just cut
Too much.
a bunch of their menu
Right.
because they were doing too much and it was costing them too much. So they narrowed it so that way they could have
But
a
the
focus and
difference
do that one
between
thing really well.
Amazon, though, I think, is that Amazon has cornered the market so much that you can sell things through their service.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is also interesting. Did you notice how many small business commercials Amazon and Google have right now? So, like, I've seen the Google commercial where it's like, Google, how do I support small businesses near me? And it pulls up like local restaurants and stuff, and they're just like, Google, we champion small businesses.
And they're like the biggest business.
Dude, and they're the one that's shutting down so many people right
it's
now.
true. It's
Same
true.
with Amazon. Amazon's got that
got
where
that.
the commercial pops up and the garage lights
they
turn
turn the
on.
lights on.
Yep, and it's like, hey, Sandy.
Hey, Sandy.
Exactly.
Oh, hey, Jim. Good morning.
And then Amazon's like, we love small business.
Yeah.
Shut up. No,
Yeah.
you don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally their business model right now. So,
I'm thinking as they're doing that, though, as they're like exploiting not only their own employees, but also just people who own their own business are now being exploited by Amazon. I think that ultimately there's no way they can go down.
I think there's one key reason I think they can go down because that is their strategy, is to diversify into literally everything. Every market that exists. I mean, you look at
What is Amazon Web Service? What are they doing with that?
Okay, that's the key.
That's why you think they're
That's
going
their
down?
key. That's why they're able to do what they do. So AWS is essentially like a cloud server,
Okay.
and so they are one of the leading like cloud servers in the market right now. They have that market pretty well
I think
cornered.
this is the conversation that people who listen to our podcast like, because neither of us are making jokes and we're just like kind of seriously being like, what is going on, you know?
And so there's a huge amount of data in that, and they're making stupid amount of money off AWS, like stupid amounts of money. And so that allows them to undercut competition in these other markets that they're coming in by ridiculous amounts. They are not making money in all these different markets they're stepping into because they're making so much on AWS.
But I'm saying you don't have to make money in that area. All you have to do is shut down your competition and then raise your price a little bit, and then you're making money.
That's the long-term
strategy. As long as they outlast their competition, I think there's no way they go down.
Yeah, that's their long-term strategy. Is just that they will
if you
wait till everybody else dies.
Everybody until they can't, because they can't match your prices. So you're going to lose money for a few quarters, maybe even a few years. And then as soon as you just have to have the resources to outlast, and that's what I think is destructive about unregulated capitalism. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's literally their strategy, and it's like public that's their strategy is they're trying to wipe out.
No, I'm going to take you down.
Other industries and become the company that runs that industry.
Yeah,
the problem.
I'm waiting for Amazon comedy shows.
The problem with
Maybe
it
we
is
should
it's built.
Does Amazon have a podcast network?
Maybe.
We're trying to get on a podcast network just for people who are listening, just so you know. That's one of our goals this year. Not this year. 2020 sucks. But, next year.
But the problem is AWS is the engine that funds all this.
Right.
And AWS is a massive player in that game, but a relatively early player in that game. And so if anything changes, if somebody else comes in and is able to beat out AWS in product or price, then the engine that's funding them going in and undercutting all this other market dies, and now all these other industries they're in is not profitable, and so they will lose all those other industries, and it'll sink them.
I don't know. I think people are so dependent on Prime now, though.
They are, but I don't think Prime itself, Amazon Prime itself, is not sustainable. 2-hour delivery is not profitable for Amazon at all. Like it's not. They can't make money off that, but they can crush their competition off that. As long as AWS is profitable, they can continue to do that. But if something happens to AWS and AWS can't remain profitable, then Amazon can't provide the services that they're providing currently. So their product
describe to me,
will decline.
Break down more what AWS is.
It's a cloud server. It's a cloud server. So it's
like
major
more
companies.
Complicated Dropbox.
Kinda.
I'm saying that was simple. Like Dropbox is more of a local, like we just put our files in there, but that's more of like a cloud server for major companies.
Yes, and the thing about it,
because I pay $200 a year on Dropbox for 2 terabytes of storage room.
Yeah, and so it does storage, but more than that, it's analytics, and so it's taking complex data and distilling that into information for businesses. And so it's storing data, it's hosting websites, hosting applications, and also giving real analytics that are useful to companies.
Right.
And so that's what the companies are paying a lot for. Google has something similar to that, but it's not the same. Like AWS is the best in the market right now. If
I think
competition
Walmart's trying to do something similar, because have you been to Bentonville recently?
No.
Walmart's pumping a lot of money into Bentonville to try to make it cool, because they're trying to attract all those developers. So, I don't know.
My thing is, if AWS takes a hit, and it doesn't have to be a big hit, if AWS takes a hit, then Amazon can't do everything it's doing, can't provide as good of a product as it's providing, and it's so big that I think that would cripple it. And so I give it 20 years before competition comes up that matches AWS, and takes away a market share from AWS, which then destroys all these other industries that Amazon is in.
I don't know if it destroys, but
back.
I think they have to raise their prices, and
I don't think they'll be able to do unless they can figure something else. I think they won't be able to sustain 2-hour shipping, and even maybe 2-day shipping. I don't know if they can sustain that without AWS driving it. And so when that happens, I think it's going to hurt Amazon a ton. And so I think there would be major losses.
Yeah, but we've thought that about so let's say Apple, right? We've thought about that about as soon as a competing phone comes along. Like Google and Android have done phones that, but it hasn't cut them.
I mean, it's tough to say. The market's grown. I think it's cut. They've cut their market share, but the market's grown, so it hasn't cut.
Hasn't really cut them. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's
so
not
was
what this
Jeff
episode's
Bezos
about.
not on the list?
He is on the list. He's number 1. So
You just didn't say
I got up to 3 when I was telling you those. So our 4 was Elon Musk, 3 is Mark Zuckerberg, 2 is Bill Gates, 1 is Jeff Bezos.
Okay.
So he's the top of the list right now, by quite a bit. He's got a bit of a margin.
Yeah, he does.
But here's what's interesting about billionaires. We'll actually talk about what this topic is about now. Where are we at? 20 minutes in.
Are you even wearing a watch?
Yeah.
You just go, where are we at?
Where are we at?
You
I
look
do
at
have
your
a watch.
forearm. You look at your elbow. You're like, where are we at? 20 minutes in? Great.
The sunlight. It's like
You just hold up and like you look where your like with the shadow of your freckle lands.
I have.
Like, oh yeah.
I have one. I shave all the hair on my arm and leave one really long hair, so it's like a sundial. I just pull it up.
This is disgusting.
can
I don't
see
like.
where the shadow
That's not a fun
casts.
bit. That's not a fun. I don't like that one at all. Can we cut that out?
So billionaires. Here's the thing. They don't actually have just $1 billion.
Right.
Or
That's
like,
their net worth.
yeah, or like even in a bank account, they honestly.
I'm sure that Jeff Bezos has a bank account with $1 billion in it.
No, he doesn't.
I guarantee he does.
He probably
just for
has
the heck of it. He's like that kind of guy who's like, I developed an app on the app. Remember when apps were new and people could just make apps for whatever reason, and they had the I'm Rich app, and there was $1,000, and
Oh my
people would just
gosh.
pay $1,000 to have it
didn't
on
know
their
about
phone.
that.
You didn't know about that? That was
did not know
2007.
about that.
'Cause you could make an app for anything.
Yeah.
There was like because people just thought apps were the future.
Yeah.
So there were apps of like how to tie a tie. They were basically
Yeah.
taking YouTube videos
Yeah.
and making them into its own separate app.
Oh my gosh.
And there was the app. Literally, you would open it, and it was just instructions on how to tie a tie. Now, the I'm Rich one literally did nothing. You opened it, and it just says I'm rich, and like it was kind of like straight up. I'm not kidding. Do you remember this? You remember this? Yeah. I'm not kidding. So if that happened now, it would be all those TikTok brats. You know the TikTok videos where you're watching a video and you're like, does this person live in a cheesecake factory? That kind of like, you see the background of their house and you're just like,
you're
this
like,
is
what is this?
I'm realizing how poor I am because of TikTok.
Oh my
but
gosh.
it would be all those TikTok kids who just be like, I got this new app. It's called I'm Rich, and I got it because I'm rich. You literally open it and it just no function.
I'm rich.
It was $999 in the App
Oh
Store.
my gosh.
So I bet that Jeff Bezos on his phone has an app that costs $999,999,999, and he bought it.
And it just says, I'm Jeff Bezos.
And it goes Jeff Bezos.
It's for when he goes somewhere and people are
It's
like
literally his ID.
acting like he's not.
Dude, do you
Jeff
think do you
Bezos.
think he has to show his ID anywhere? Like, do you think he
no.
goes to the
No.
airport?
No, he doesn't go to the airport. He has a private jet.
Right. He goes. Do you think he goes to his backyard? That's what I meant. You think he goes to his backyard, gets on a plane? Like, how do rich people do the let's say air security? Oh, I just wondered about private jets. We should do an episode about it. Anyway,
Okay.
billionaires.
Billionaires. Yeah. So they probably, most billionaires, with the exception of a handful, their bank accounts are probably pretty low comparative to how much money
You
that
think
they
Jeff
actually
Bezos
have.
got $25,000 in a bank account?
Oh, he's probably got 25,000. But comparatively,
That was of course. 25,000 to Jeff Bezos. If he drops below 25,000, that's like his bank penalizes him. That's like his. That's like
they're like, whoa.
They're
Jeff.
like, did you get 24,000? You're overdrafting your account. Of course, he's got an. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
Here's the thing. Most banks will only federally insure your checking account up to $250,000.
Really?
So there's
So they have to diversify.
some exceptions, but yeah, most.
Well, that's good because Jeff Bezos just has a vault in his basement. And he's also he's got 3 private jets out on the runway. 2 of them are just full of cash.
Just literally
Stacks.
front to bottom.
Stacks of cash.
Well, here's the thing.
That's my vault plane.
That's my
We don't fly that one. It's just we just have it full.
I just do this
buying this
somewhere.
private jet was cheaper than digging another vault for my cash. So I just bought another private jet, filled it
And
with
it's
money.
easier to move it. It's
Yeah.
easier to move the money.
Yeah, you can't get to the cockpit. So there's some overhead space available, but other than that,
But yeah, I can.
But I'm gonna
like one
fill
more
that
bag.
next month when that next paycheck comes in from AWS. So he's just looking at his planes. What the anyway?
Yeah. So most billionaires probably over they take the risk. They jump a little over that federal insurance. They probably have a couple million in there just so that way they've got cash on hand for crazy things.
Yeah.
But they probably don't have more than a couple million in any bank account.
Sure.
And even most bank accounts
You think they're at Bank
won't
of
allow you to
America?
put that much more.
You think they're like, excuse me, I'd like to open a personal savings account. I'm like, great. How much do you want to put in there? I would like to put in $4 million. Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I'd like to put in $4 million. I'd also like to put up $8 million to purchase this bank. Can I do that?
I'd also like to buy the bank.
I'd also, if you're interested, I'd like to buy you as a person. Can I?
How much do you cost?
How much do you cost? I'd like to purchase you to just watch my money all day.
Oh my gosh. So here's the thing.
Eyes open, don't blink. Stare at it all day. I got a person out there staring at 2 planes. And the person
Jeff, we need to hire more staff. I can't do all this staring.
He's like, back up, dude. What are you talking about? Back up. Like, back up from the planes. Like, why do you turn it back and forth?
This is too much.
Walk further away so they're both
on,
in your eyesight. You don't need to stand between them.
Jeff, I can't keep up.
If you can't watch this plane, I'm going to have to buy someone to kill you. Not even hire someone. I'm going to buy someone to kill you.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, we'll get back to the episode in a second, but I want to let you know we have coffee mugs.
Mug.
We're going to mug you. And you can buy.
You can get mugged by us. TILLN.com/merch. For $20, we'll come mug you. Mug.
Oh, I remember asking you about billionaires because I remember making the joke, if I was a billionaire, I think I would just buy cars and crash them into walls. You remember that?
I remember that. I used to say that all the time because I'm like, I think it'd be really funny. This actually happened to me last night. I think it'd be really funny if like I didn't care about my car to just drive it into other people's cars.
Exactly, dude. Okay. Here we are. I have thought. You remember the van I used to have? You remember?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
This big green tanker of van. Okay, I have thought. Because I've watched people run red lights. I've watched people do just dumb stuff. And I've swerved out of the way for people. Mm-hmm. I've decided that if I do have money, I'm going to buy a clunker van and then I'm not going to move.
And you're just going to be like,
if they come in my lane, we're going to hit each other. If you turn in front of me, I'm not going to slam my brakes. I'm going to smack you in the side of your Chevy Impala.
I'm more of like
and I'm going to drive away.
I'm
going to hit and run you.
Here's where I'm at. I was at the church last night and our worship pastor was pulling out, and I was like, it'd be really funny if I just T-boned him in the parking lot.
Smack, just go, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, do you remember when Justin Bieber was getting all those DUIs or whatever?
No.
Well, he was getting a lot of DWIs, whichever one's the drinking one.
Okay.
But he would just pay the fine.
Yeah. You're just like, whatever.
Yeah, for real, that's what like celebrities are just like. Oh, I was driving. Okay, sorry. Here's 25.
How much is
Same
that?
with like NFL players who do like those penalties and stuff, and they're like, oh, that was worth $8,000.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, give me $8,000.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, that's how I feel about car accidents. I think it'd be funny to just T-bone your friends, but not like at like 20 miles an hour tops. Would you like?
That's still pretty fast.
Yeah, like enough to where it's like, bro, what are you doing? And then you get out and be like, ha, I gotcha. Am I messed up?
A little bit. I'm just wondering if you're also going to pay my medical bills if you do that to me. Are you?
Oh yeah, I'd cover everything. I'd cover it all if I had the money.
No, for sure. Yeah,
I got it covered, but it was funny, wasn't it?
Yeah, dude, that was pretty good bit. Wasn't that a good bit?
So billionaires, for them, what they start to do, they think on a different level because putting money into a checking account.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense because
it doesn't give them the return that investing that money would.
Yeah, exactly. It makes that money stale. And in fact, it makes that money lose money because they're thinking so far in the future that like 20 years from now, if I put $1 million in a bank account because of inflation, that buying power of that goes down. Right. So it's not worth $1 million.
So you invest in
that. Yeah. So they're always into investments or whatever they can do to pull some sort of return. So most of a billionaire's money is actually in some kind of investment. And so it's stock markets, bonds, things of that nature.
So if you own stock, that's part of your net worth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in fact, most of when we look at the net worth of
which is why that's why if a company's value goes up, the owner's net worth goes up because
exactly. So you'll see like whenever Mark Zuckerberg was on that trial a couple of years ago that all the memes came from,
Right.
When they said that he lost like whatever it was, like $15 billion in one day during that thing, he didn't actually have like $15 billion just jump out of his bank account.
Right.
It was Facebook was worth less money, so then he had less money. Because of that change. And so what they're doing is they're funneling it all into the stock market so that way they can pull in some sort of return off of whatever they're putting that money in. And so they don't actually have the ability to just go spend $1 billion anywhere because most of it is in stocks and bonds and trusts.
Right.
But they also jump into real estate and assets. And this is one thing that has always kind of irked me about when you watch the super, like people talk about the super rich and they do something sketchy and they get like caught for it. Mm-hmm. And people are like, look at the lavish lifestyle he lived. And they're going through and looking at everything that they own and all the art and their collectibles. The thing that irks me about it is for the super rich, it just doesn't make sense for them to just sit on their money. The best thing that they can do is especially real estate. So like if you're super rich, you could put that money into a savings account, but it's not going to do much for you. It's better for you to go buy a $20 million house in Florida and in Colorado and in New York, because then that
I
money...
didn't know you were a defend the rich kind of guy.
I'm not.
Huh.
Well, I kind of am.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, because it doesn't make sense.
I'm not like one of these like eat the rich guillotine people, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm also not a super like, yeah. Where you're just like, no, they got all the money.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Because art, collectibles, collectible cars, planes, yachts, homes are all things that will appreciate in value. And so they will put their money in those things, and they will probably never use most
they'll
of
put
it.
stacks of money in those things, the planes.
Those things. They'll buy a ton of that stuff, and they'll probably use all of that rarely. And it's not because they're like,
going to sell it later.
Yeah, the whole idea is a shelter for them. If something happens, they can be like, oh, I can just sell $30 million worth of these assets, and I'm okay. And so it's not a place that they use often. They have home that they live in. They have vacation homes. They probably, like if they have a place where they work.
Have you seen Tyler
have
Perry's new mansion
office.
that he's building in Atlanta?
No.
So whenever I fly to Atlanta, it is like the airplane path goes right over it. It looks like Daddy Warbucks.
I don't know what that is.
from Orphan Annie.
Oh, I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Daddy Warbucks' house is like the guest house at this mansion. It is ridiculous.
And the house is in the shape of the words from the sky. You can read it as you fly over. It says House of Pain. The house is in that shape.
No. It just says Medea.
That's the one he chose.
Yeah. No, Google image it. Google image Tyler Perry's new mansion. Because it's not done yet. It's still being built.
All right, let's see. Tyler Perry new mansion. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is pretty dang good.
Yeah.
That is pretty dang good.
Yeah, it is.
And that's the thing.
It's got a helicopter landing pad next to the pool in the backyard. I'd like a pool over here. I want a waterfall. I want one of those like hot tubs that, is like, and then right next to that, I would like a 2 helicopter landing pad, one for me and then one for just all of my friends.
Twin landing pad. Yeah. And that's what they do is they put it into real estate because real estate's a pretty safe investment.
Yeah.
And then they get arts, collectibles,
well, and
trading
those are
cards, crazy
things like
things.
you can pass down that generationally.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it will always go up in value.
Yeah.
And if anything ever happens, they've got so many of these properties, they can liquidate them and they still have an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
And the same thing with their stock markets and stuff. One interesting thing that they do too is this is where it starts to get a little hard to count. So like you can count real estate, you can count stock market investment, you can count income. Most of these guys, their income isn't great. Like most of these guys, their income is they're taking $1 a year from their companies.
Right.
Their income is from the stock markets, from their ownerships of all these different entities. But what's interesting here is it starts to get kind of tough to figure out how much they're actually worth, because you can figure out the publicly traded stuff, you can figure out real estate, but what a lot of them will do is they'll set up LLCs. And they'll purchase more properties under this LLC and purchase more companies under this LLC. And the thing about LLCs is you don't have to tie it to a specific name publicly. It can be private. And so and a lot of them will chain their LLCs down, so it's even harder to trace. So they'll have an LLC that owns
Why do
an
they do that,
LLC,
Tim?
that owns an LLC, that owns an LLC.
Yeah.
A couple reasons, mostly to evade taxes.
Yes.
But
Just
also,
really wanted to make sure that we're on the same page on that,
but also,
which is why I'm not a billionaire sympathizer.
also, I think a lot of them don't want people to know.
But also this
how
year,
much
I'm not
money they
paying my
have.
taxes. I'm literally going to send an envelope to the IRS that just says,
Says
can't.
what?
I literally can't say it on this podcast. Just so you know, like I'm serious too. Like I don't give a crap. I'm actually going to send them a tangled up pair of headphones, like a pair of iPhone headphones, and just send it to them, and just be like,
They're
"There
gonna
you
think
go."
it's a bomb.
They're gonna be like, "Oh, what does this
Jaron
go?
said there's a
What does
bomb.
this even go to? An iPhone 8? We don't have those." Bruh. You know, I'm gonna send them a pair of tangled.
This is iPhone headphones with an aux cable on.
Oh,
it,
I'm
and I haven't
so
seen one of
mad.
these in years.
I'm so mad. Yeah, I'm gonna send them 14 pairs. I don't care.
Jeez.
So they diversify and then they hide.
Yeah, so
that
they hide
they
it
don't
into
have to
these
pay
LLCs,
taxes.
and then they'll buy other businesses. They'll buy commercial real estate. They'll buy private real estate, and they'll start creating an income from all of those. And it starts to get to a point where not only can we on the outside have not be able to count how much money they have, but even them on the inside, like even the billionaire themselves, can't really know for sure how much they're worth. There was an interview a few years ago with I can't remember his name. He was one of the richest people in the world at the time, and they asked him. They said, "How much are you worth?" And he said, "Rich people," or he said the richest people in the world don't know how much they're worth. That was his response, because he's like you can't. There comes a point where you can't keep track of it. It's just you have more money than is countable. So it starts.
And I love that you love those people. I love that for you.
I wouldn't say love. I'm fascinated in it. I'm interested in it. Because
What's interesting to me, and I really don't want people to think that I'm one of because there are some extremists out there who are like, let's take all the richest money or whatever. What's interesting to me though is that the greatest trick that the upper class has pulled on the middle class is that they've told the middle class, if you work hard and do the right things, then you can be this too.
Yeah.
And it's a lie.
That's what's really interesting is there are a handful of those self-mades where they struck it big. They made some sort of app or something, and they rags to riches.
They did it at the right time, because and the reason that we're seeing a lot of not a lot of them, but like a Jeff Bezos story or an Elon Musk story right now is because it's the beginning of it's the end of the Industrial Revolution and the beginning of the technological evolution. So, hitting that gap and that transition just right is obviously going to be profitable for a certain number of people. The same way that the beginning of the Industrial Revolution was great for the Rockefellers and the Fords and the people who were like, oh, this is something new that we're moving into. But jumping into the car industry in the 50s is way less profitable than it is in the 20s.
Exactly.
Same way that jumping into any of these internet things now is way less profitable than it was in the 80s and 90s.
Absolutely. Have you read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell?
I have not.
Very good book. He talks about how there's specific people who sit on this, they're outliers.
Yeah.
And so he looks at, like, for example,
But what I'm saying is, like, maybe they are smart and see the I think so much of it, honestly, is a stroke of luck.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. He talks about the Canadian Hockey League. He says it's like 99.98% of people who go pro in the Canadian Hockey League were born between January and March because of the way their youth leagues are set up, and so it gives them an unfair advantage because they're a little bit older than everybody else, and when they get to the pros, but they have more experience than everybody else because they got to start. So it's the time they started and the time they get to go pro is favorable towards them with the way the youth leagues are set up. He talks about Bill Gates too. Bill Gates, I think there was a 9-month period of his birth where if he was born 9 months earlier, he wouldn't have made it. If he was born 9 months later, he wouldn't have made it because he ended up in this perfect class in high school where he got to know this perfect person, and his school that he was at purchased this computer like out of a stroke of luck because somebody donated it.
Yeah.
That was like a computer that even the best universities in the world didn't have. So he got to put, by the time he was, I think it was by the time he got out of high school, he got to put his 10,000 hours into this system that people who had PhDs didn't get a chance to get that much time with. And Bill Gates talks about that all the time. He's like, if I would have went to high school somewhere else, or if I would have went to that same high school 2 years later or 2 years earlier, I wouldn't have been able to do what I've been able to do.
Right.
So there is a level to, there's a huge
And I went to
amount
Mount
of luck.
Vernon High School, so I've got a leg up.
There is a huge amount of luck in this game. But I was...
game.
Okay, shut up.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of luck in this game called life, you know? And if you're going to win it, you got to roll the dice.
I was looking at how
And trust the Lord. And trust the Lord. That's the important part. Because really, God wants you to prosper. You know, so
He
if
came
you
to
just
give you
lay
life
down
and
your
life
life
to the
to
full
God,
pockets.
that's 100%. I believe if you sow a seed today, if you sow a seed of $10 a month on Patreon, I'm telling you right now that God will give you back tenfold.
And we will
And
send
that's a
you,
promise, not of me, but of the Lord.
We have water from the Jordan that we will send you
I hate
in a
everything,
Ziploc
dude.
baggie.
In a Ziploc bag.
you
So
can-
these people went to Israel and brought back
we
Ziploc bags.
have these Ziploc baggies.
7 ounces, because that's what was allowed on the plane.
We have 7
Now,
ounces
here's the thing around
of
it,
Jordan
though.
water.
They won't let you bring 8 ounces, but they'll let you bring 35 7-ounce Ziploc bags.
So we got 35 of these bad boys that we're shipping off for $7,000, and you will be closer to the Lord. because of it.
245 ounces of Jordan
Jordan River water.
$1,800 an ounce.
So I was interested. I was like, okay, what would it
Don't
take?
drink it, though.
What would it take for us to be able to have a similar, not even wealth amount, but portfolio to what billionaires have? And I could not find anything about how the average billionaire spreads apart their money in terms of percentages.
The average billionaire.
But
I hate it.
I was able to find by millionaires, the average millionaire puts 36% of their income towards investments. And so they're able to live off 64 and put the other 36% towards just income or just investments. And so
How much do they tithe?
and the average millionaire doesn't tithe. So, I mean,
Well, quit tithing is the message, apparently.
apparently. Here's the thing. The average American household has 80% of their income goes towards expenditures before taxes. So it's nearly impossible for the average American household to be able to invest as much as the average millionaire invests.
Yes.
And that's up before tax figure, so they can invest even less. And that's up before tithe figure, so that's even less. Not to mention the fact...
Tithe figures?
Figures. Yeah, what's your tithe figure? What if that becomes a lobby?
You know, the way you're saying things, you
Well,
say...
you know, Pastor, my tithe figures this month have been down.
Okay.
I'm really trying not to run into Pastor Dan today because my tithe figures have been down this month.
Yeah, who's Dan? Who's Pastor,
Pastor Dan. Pastor Dan, the pastor of our...
Pasta?
Pastor Dan.
Pasta Dan. You know, I'm going to go out to Olive Garden next week for some pasta. And
I'm hoping I don't run into Pastor Dan. My tithe figures
no.
down.
He's not a pastor at the church. We just call him Pasta Dan because of the amount of...
Because he makes great pasta.
He just loves it. And he makes pasta, but he says pasta.
And he doesn't, when we pay, he doesn't call it payment. He calls it tithe. He says, hey, can I get your tithe? He gives you the
that's
check.
the
he's
tip.
like, let me know when you got your tithe ready.
You go ahead and put a tithe on there. I'm Pasta Dan.
Pastor Dan.
No, I'm Pasta Dan.
I'm the real Pastor Dan.
I hate everything. So,
He's an imposter Dan.
oh my gosh. That whole thing felt like a Facebook meme.
It was. Yeah, and then, so not to mention the fact that 36% of a millionaire's yearly income is significantly more than 36% of the average American household's income.
way.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Shut up.
How does math work?
Shut up.
So tell me about thousandaires.
That's
about what I am.
That's about what most people are thousandaires. 1,000 billionaires. Here's the thing. Most millionaires, the average millionaire, I actually found this this morning. The average millionaire never had an income of more than $60,000 a year. They just were very diligent about their 401k and investing through their life. And then when they retired was the first time they tapped into it, and ergo now they're a millionaire. That's the average millionaire's story. Billionaires, very different story. The average millionaire was just someone who had a regular income and was diligent with that income, budgeting their whole life, and retired a millionaire. And so it's not outside the realm of a possibility if you're careful with your budget, if you try not to take out a lot of debt, and if you invest well while you are young, that you can become a millionaire. Becoming a billionaire is a totally different story. But even most of these billionaires, their incomes were never crazy huge. They had one big payout from one thing.
Yeah, a lot of them have $1 a year. And they give 36% of it to investments.
And they just get lucky. Those 36
I invested 36 cents.
Mark Zuckerberg invested 36 cents in Facebook, and it turned into $104 billion. Can you imagine what you could do with 36 cents?
Can you imagine what God can do with your 10?
Hey, man, nice shirt you're wearing.
Thanks. TILLN.com/merch. Where, oh my gosh.
But most of these billionaires, they hit it pretty big on one thing.
Okay.
And then after that, they just kept at it,
Yeah.
and invested and diversified, and then turned it
That's
into
why
a
I just
ton.
put I'm poor right now because I took all of my savings and I invested it in Little Caesars Pizza.
For example,
Money.
Michael Jordan is one of the billionaires in the world right now. Most of his money did not come from the NBA. He made his first bit of money.
Most of it came from Space Jam.
Space Jam is what put him over the top.
He was like, "Oh, this is a good investment. I'm gonna keep leaning into Space Jam.
I'm gonna keep Space Jamming." And so, no,
I'm sure he got a lot for that Last Dance documentary series.
Probably. The majority of his money has come from endorsements from Nike, and then from other investments after the fact. And so that's the story for most billionaires: is they make a good chunk of money in whatever their job is.
I believe that Patrick Mahomes will be a billionaire.
He probably will.
Because for the rest of eternity, he is like he's a figure in the NFL forever now.
He will always have these endorsements. He will always have people coming after him, trying to get his name on things. And he's already taking steps like that. He bought a share in the Royals.
Yep.
Doing things like that is the things that turn people into billionaires. It's ownership. It's not income. It's ownership in things. So they buy pieces of company, they buy ownership in companies, and they will, one thing that billionaires love doing, and this is why Shark Tank is a thing, even because the billionaires will find a company that's right at that medium like breaking point where it's like they have a great product, they have great systems in place, they have good people at the top that are running the company, they just need capital.
Shark Tank is a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Because they're like, not only is this us finding things to invest in, but at the same exact time, we are marketing the thing we're about to invest in.
Absolutely.
Because so many products I will see on the thing as seen on Shark Tank.
Yeah, and you're like, ooh, that sounds cool. But yeah, they love doing stuff like that because then they can take it from that. The company just needs some capital. You can get some capital behind it. They can take it to the stars. And so billionaires have nothing but money to throw around. And so like, let me just dump some money into this.
Which is why, hello, Sharks. My name is Jaron Myers.
And my name is Tim Stone.
And we are Things That I Learned Last Night, a educational comedy podcast
that's interested in teaching you the things that you don't need to know.
For example, here's something that you can learn. Tim, take it away.
Hey, Jaron and Sharks, have you ever heard of peace tea?
I have not.
It is a tea that you could buy, and it tastes peaceful.
Does it not taste like peas?
No, it's peace.
Peas
Like
tea.
C.
Hello, Sharks. We're here to pitch you peas tea. It's like tea. It's like boba tea, but instead of boba balls, it's peas.
And they're really good ones. They're cream of peas, but it's just all the cream. You drink the cream part. We're looking for a $200,000 share
for 10%. 10%. We're looking for
$200,000.
which means we value this at $2 million.
It's a $2 million idea, Sharks. So, in Peace Tea today, we brought you samples. Hold on.
Brought you samples?
We brought you samples. Would you like to try, Sharks? So, Sharks, will you pee with me?
This is me doing the bald guy. This tastes absolutely disgusting, and for that reason, I am out.
He's not that. He's not that.
Mr. What's his name?
Mr. Wonderful. He's not that kind.
You're right. Okay, sorry. Just bleep all the words. This is garbage, and I think that you are. For that reason, I'm out. You can just bleep all
Mr.
those.
Wonderful. Mr. Wonderful. Wait, did you try the peas? Did you eat the peas? Eat the peas. Eat the peas, Mr. Wonderful.
I choked on a pea.
Choke on our pea today.
Mr. Wonderful, we were actually really hoping that you were going to invest because we were going to use your face but color your head green on the can. And Mr. Wonderful's peas tea was going to sell so great. And then we were going to sell a Halloween costume that is be a pea head.
So that's what things I learned last night as Sharks. And we're looking for a $50,000 share and a 1% second.
And then Mark Cuban's over there like, all right, I don't want to buy it, but y'all got a Patreon? I'll support on there.
I'll support on Patreon.
Yeah, for $2.5 million a month. I'll support on Patreon. Just because I like that you made fun of Mr. Wonderful's pea head.
Yeah. What's the link? Can I get the link to that?
Sharks, just to be honest with you, if you don't invest in this idea, we think you have peas for brains. Okay, guys.
TILLN.com/Shark Tank to give on Patreon.
Nice. I love that our whole episode has become a Patreon ad. How long have we been doing this episode? 5 minutes. Yeah, we got to get out of here.
All right. So the last thing about Billionaires is they make a lot of money. So one other thing that they do a lot is philanthropy. And it's very interesting to me.
Yeah, tell me about Twitter philanthropy. That's why I asked. I said, what is going on with these like Twitter philanthropists?
I don't remember you asking about that, so I haven't looked into that.
But talk about philanthropy because like there's guys on Twitter who will be like, hey, I'm going to give $15,000 to 3 people who retweet this.
Oh, yeah. So that's fake. That's people just trying to.
No, it's not though. This guy's real. This guy does it. Bill something.
Gates?
Yep.
So philanthropy.
I forgot Bill Gates' name. Thanks for reminding me. Idiot.
A lot of them get into philanthropy, but most of the billionaires on the Bloomberg Top 100 have committed to give away 50% of their wealth to different philanthropic projects. The problem is most of them, with the exception of honestly maybe Bill Gates,
they own the place, the organization they're giving it to.
Well, not necessarily. There's ulterior motive.
Right.
I think Bill and Melinda are genuine, and that might ruffle the feathers of some conservatives. I think they are genuine because
we don't post this on Parler. They're fine. They're never
they've stepped out of what they are doing to start a company that focuses on that. Where a lot of other people, they're still doing their thing, and then they're giving they're dumping a lot of money into these different organizations.
That still kind of feeds the thing they're doing.
Well, it benefits them for a couple big reasons. One of the biggest one being
Marketing.
Taxes. It's a
yeah, for sure.
massive tax write-off. I tithe, and every year I watch and TurboTax, the little top corner. Once I put my tithe in, it just like cuts like it just so insane. I'm just like, how does that even do that?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you put that on a $1 billion scale, it can save you a lot of money in taxes if you're doing that. So
Yeah.
it's an investment for them, but also it's an investment in it. You won't see a billionaire. I mean, I don't know if this is true, because if they don't, then you wouldn't know. But most billionaires, when they do these philanthropic projects, their name is all over it, and they've got the giant check, and they're giving it to them. It is a notoriety thing.
As I say, it's like a marketing thing. It's a
absolutely.
You want to support them because they give back.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
So that way, it gives them more.
That's one of the main defenses that I've seen of like ultra rich people when people do like the whole eat the rich thing. There's people who are like, do you even realize how much they give back? How much they do to the just look it up. Just like and you're like,
they do.
Great,
but
they do.
Their motive isn't great. Some of them maybe. You can't tell for sure, but by and large, the motive isn't great for a lot of them.
Well, it's things like the Little Caesars founder who just quietly paid Rosa Parks rent for her whole life.
Yes, yeah, that's the stuff that's exciting and interesting. But I do think there's something going on.
Well, it's like me, who gives a lot of money to people that you'll never know about, and I give a lot of money away.
A lot, and you would never know.
You would never know because I never bring it up.
Jaron's been paid Rosa Parks rent for like 3 years.
I wasn't prepared for it. Didn't like it.
So
it's funny, but
here's what's crazy. I found this out while I was researching this last night.
Okay.
A lot of people act like, and there's a boom of billionaires right now. A lot more billionaires are showing up right now. I think you're right about we're in this this phase where the tech startups are starting to get to the point where the people who started the tech startups are getting stupid rich.
Yes.
I think this boom isn't going to last, but I will say the stretch is very interesting because there's more people right now that are billionaires than there ever have been. There's more people right now that are millionaires than there ever been.
And there's more people on unemployment than there haven't been.
True. But the distribution of wealth is trending upwards. It's widening out is what I'm trying to say. Because if you look at even 100 years ago, the Industrial Revolution, your Carnegies, your Vanderbilts, your Rockefellers, they were worth, adjusted for today's money, $350 billion. And Bezos is the richest right now. He's worth only $130 billion.
Really?
And so they were, or $180 billion. But still, so they were worth significantly more than he is today because it wasn't spread out as much. There wasn't as many billionaires out there. There wasn't as many millionaires out there. It was just these people at the top, and then there was a ton of people at the bottom that were just the deep losers. It's starting to stretch out and spread out the wealth. The billionaires, there's more billionaires that aren't reaching as high of a number. There's more millionaires.
Well, they're reaching a higher number, but as far as like, you mean like adjusted for inflation kind of stuff.
No, I mean they're reaching a really high number, but they're not hitting that $300-400 billion mark that people.
But Rockefeller didn't actually like those. I mean, those people didn't actually hit 300.
No, it's adjusted.
That's
for
what I'm saying. Adjusted for inflation. Yeah.
So if
even
they were alive
it looks
today,
way more because it's not fair to compare the numbers like to this person in this time or whatever.
Exactly. But if you adjust it to where it's the same,
right?
Then. Where it was worth the same. The buying power was
if you just adjust the chart, it looks like, just fill in the chart.
If you just change it, then it's like, wow, it's way better.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is,
that's what I went to my bank and I was like, guys, I just want to change the number. And
they were just like, change that.
And I was like, no. Can you just
hit
a button and just add a little
add
zero?
Some more. Add some.
Hit the plus button. That's what I do with my calculator.
So we can't do that.
I just go plus, 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 plus.
That's how much money I have.
That's how much I have. That's my net worth.
What I'm trying to say,
my net worth is probably about $600. If I sold these mics and then I sold
the mics,
that marker board's probably worth a couple bucks,
like $7. What I'm trying to say, based off my very limited research from last night, is it does seem like there's a trend where, for the longest time, you had people in history where the kings, the monarchs that had insane amounts of money. I think I saw, and I can't find where I had that tab open somewhere and I lost it. But it was like they were talking about Caesar Augustus, and they said his estimated adjusted for today was like $47 trillion, like an insane amount of money, because all the wealth was funneled to the top in those societies. Today, it's spreading out, and we're trending this way where the money's spreading out. So you're seeing more and more billionaires, but I don't think that will last forever. I think it's going to get to the point where this spreads out wide enough where more people are reaching that upper class, and less people are at the very top just soaking it all up because the money's spreading out more.
But what happens to the middle class?
I don't know.
It disappears.
What I'm saying... What I'm saying is it looks like, based off my very limited research, my hypothesis is it's trending in a direction where instead of having...
We're all going to be millionaires.
No. It's trending in a direction where instead of there being a handful of people who control the vast majority of the money...
More hands in the pot, for sure.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. So the upper class is getting bigger, but then what happens is that the middle class shrinks to where the upper class is exploiting the lower class. They are, for sure. I mean, like when you look at like the 2-hour delivery, 2-day delivery, how are they doing that? They're doing it on the backs of minimum wage employees.
Absolutely.
Right? So those employees cannot advance to the middle class. So it's not like middle class people are advancing to the upper class and then lower class people are... Trickle down economics is a farce. It's not real. So this money's not coming anywhere back down.
That's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
So what happens is any opportunity that the lower class has to move closer to the middle class is gone. It's not going to be there. And the middle class, as the people at the upper middle class do get to move into that upper class area, they're not putting that money back down here. They're keeping that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the middle class is disappearing because of those things.
That's fair.
So there's more hands in the pot for sure. It's not like there's like one person to blame anymore.
Yeah.
This one person that's like, that's a rich person who like they have all the money and now we don't, and that's wrong. That's not reality.
It's spreading out into this world of like a Hunger Games, where it's like you have everybody in that one district that's super rich, and then everybody else who's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Which.
But it's not their. It's not. You don't. I don't vilify the people. But yeah, I mean, what do we do with like when we look at a system that like allows this to happen? That kind of the discrepancy there. How do we? Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a different rant for a different time.
We'll close today by talking about the world's richest animals, wealthiest animals, because I found this in my search. This is not real. Grumpy Cat, tartar sauce, the Grumpy Cat.
Oh, yeah, Grumpy Cat. $22 million.
$99 million is that cat's net worth. Richest animal alive.
Was Grumpy Cat?
No.
But Grumpy Cat died.
Did he really?
Yep.
Oh, I wonder who he put in his will. The richest animal alive is Gunther IV, who was the dog who inherited money from the Countess Carlotta of Liebenstein, who left a bunch of money to her dog, and his net worth is $200 million. This dog.
This is why I hate the ultra rich people who are just like, you know what? I've given all the money to my kids and done all this. We just got $200 million left over. Let's give it to my dog.
Yeah, I don't understand.
If I give it there, then it can't leave the family, but I also don't have to choose a favorite kid. And then I'll just give the dog to... it's stupid. Anyway.
Taylor Swift's cat is estimated
I wouldn't
to be
give
worth
my cats
$97
$20.
I wouldn't give my cats anybody. What are they
Why
going to do with it?
Why is Taylor Swift's cat worth money?
I don't know. I don't understand this. But yeah, so those are the richest animals in the world. Hate them. Freaking...
Yeah, billionaires are animals. You heard it here first.
The animal wealth gap is widening.
Yeah, because my cats aren't worth anything. My cats step in their own poop. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
on purpose.
Taylor Swift's cat doesn't even poop. He's got
sucks it in.
He's got clients.
Keeps it in. He's
got constituents that poop for him.
Gosh dang it! All right. Is that all?
Yeah, I fiddle off that guy. Hey, thanks for watching Things I Learned Last Night. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and watch some of our other videos. They're showing up on the screen somewhere around here right now. We'll see you later.